So we've spoken about the ways to describe the body and what anatomy is and what physiology is. So now we're going to be looking at the body systems and what's involved in each of the body systems. So we'll just be running through the 11 systems. We won't be covering all of the 11 systems in this particular topic. Next semester in 1005 you'll be looking at the other systems that we're not covering. So the first one is the integumentary system, or what you probably know as the skin and hair. It also includes the sweat glands and the nails on your fingers and toes. The function is to provide protection against environmental hazards and helps regulate body temperature, and it provides sensory information. So the skin is the largest organ of the body. And as a nurse, it is really important that skin integrity is maintained for our patients, because a break in the skin integrity, whether it be a cut or friction which causes a break in the skin integrity, it means that there is the risk of infection being able to enter into the patient. And the last thing we want if the patient comes into hospital is that they get an infection whilst they're in hospital. The next one that we'll be covering is the skeletal system. Now the skeletal system is made up, of course, of the bones and cartilages and associated ligaments. So ligaments join bones to bones. And then within inside the bones we have bone marrow. Bone marrow is very important in white blood cell and red blood cell manufacturing. So the function of the skeletal system is to provide support and protection for all of the other tissues. It stores calcium and other minerals and forms blood cells. The next one that we'll be covering is the muscular system. We'll mainly be looking at superficial muscles that you will need to get to know the names of. So we're talking about the skeletal muscles and associated tendons. So tendons join muscles to bones. The function is to provide movement, provides protection and support for other tissues, and it generates heat and it maintains body temperature. If we look at the nervous system, we will be covering part of the nervous system in context with each of the other systems that we are covering. So the major organs, of course, is the brain, the spinal cord, the peripheral nerves. So peripheral means on the outside or the edges, and of course the sense organs. Now the functions of the nervous system is to provide direct response to stimuli. So if you look back to when you were in the kitchen and you touched something hot, you've already removed your finger from what was hot before your brain has registered, oh my goodness, that was hot. So that is called a reflex. We'll learn more about that next semester. The nervous system coordinates and also moderates activities of other organs, and it provides and interprets sensory information about external conditions. The endocrine system, we'll be looking at some of the organs of the endocrine system, but the organs of the endocrine system are the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the pancreas, the adrenal glands, the gonads, and the endocrine tissues in other organs. So we'll mainly be involved in the adrenal glands and the pancreas in this semester. So their functions are that they direct long-term changes in activities of other body systems. They can adjust metabolic activity and energy use within the body. And they control many structural and functional changes during development. The endocrine system secrete hormones. They're secreted into the blood, and they're very slow in getting up to maximum level compared to the nervous system, which is quite quick when you think of the reflex when you're touching something hot and your brain wants to protect you from being burnt. The cardiovascular system is something that we will be covering. We will be covering the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. The functions of the cardiovascular system, of course, is to distribute blood cells, water and dissolved minerals and nutrients, and to remove waste products. It also delivers oxygen and takes away carbon dioxide from cells. It's also involved in the distribution of heat and assists in the control of body temperature. The lymphatic organs, which we won't be looking at so much in this semester, but their organs are the spleen, the thymus, the lymphatic vessels, the lymphatic nodes. You can see the lymphatic nodes are located up around the axillary of the underarm, and we have nodes around our head and in our groin and in our abdomen and around our legs and arms. So they're the lymph nodes, and of course other important organ is the tonsils. They're involved in defending against infection and disease, and they return tissue fluids to the bloodstream. Another system that we will be covering is the respiratory system. Now it's starting with our nose, where we breathe in, and our sinuses and our larynx, which is where we make noises and our voice comes from, the trachea, the bronchi, the lungs, and the alveoli. Now the functions of the respiratory system are very complex, and we'll be looking at them over 2 lectures later in the semester. The functions are to deliver air to the alveoli and to provide oxygen to the bloodstream, to remove carbon dioxide from the bloodstream, and also to produce sounds for communication, just as I'm talking to you now. We'll also be looking at the digestive system. When you think about the digestive system, you think about eating, of course. So all of the organs that are involved in eating. We've got our teeth and our tongue. We've got the pharynx, which is shared with the respiratory system. The esophagus, where the food goes down into the stomach, where it is mixed up with acid, and then it moves through to the small intestine, where other secretions are excreted into what is now chyme, or it's partly digested food. Most of the absorption occurs in the small intestine, and then it moves on to the large intestine, where we have water being absorbed and also vitamins being absorbed out. The liver's involved in maintaining purification of the blood and also secreting digestive hormones. One is the gallbladder, which is attached to the liver, and also the pancreas, which is involved in the secretion of insulin and other digestive enzymes. So the functions are processing and the digestion of food, the absorption and the conservation of water, the absorption of nutrients, and the store of energy reserves. So excess glucose is stored as fat in the liver, and we'll talk about that later in the semester. The urinary system, we don't cover the urinary system in this semester, but you will next semester. But you will need to know what the organs are that make up the urinary system. So we have 2 kidneys. We can function with only 1 kidney, but we have got 2. We have the ureters, which drain urine from the kidneys, where urine is manufactured down into the urinary bladder, and then that bladder is a muscle which then contracts and excretes urine down through the urethra into the external environment, generally down into the toilet when you sit down and you urinate if you're a woman, or stand up if you're a man. Functions are to excrete waste products from blood. It controls the water balance by regulating the volume of urine produced. So this is an important way of maintaining homeostasis. If our body doesn't have enough fluid circulating, then the kidneys will not make very much urine, and the urine that is made will be very concentrated. The bladder, of course, stores urine prior to elimination, and the kidneys are also involved in regulating the blood iron concentration and pH, which is the acidity. The other organ systems that we're not covering in this semester is the male reproductive organs, where we've got the testes, the epididymides, the ductus differentia, the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, the penis, and the scrotum. And of course the functions are to produce male sex cells, also known as sperm, the suspending fluids and hormones, and be involved in sexual intercourse. The female organs of the reproductive system, we've got the ovaries, the uterine tubes, the uterus, the vagina, the labia, the clitoris, and the mammary glands. The functions are to produce female sex cells called oocytes and hormones, to support the development of a fertilized embryo from conception to delivery, to provide milk to nourish the newborn infant, and to be involved in sexual intercourse.